Okay, it's 9:30, so let's call the meeting of the Riverside County Transportation Commission for Wednesday, November 10th, 2021 to order. I'll give some, I think we're all getting pretty good at this, but I'll just provide reminders so that we can have a smooth running meeting. And here's a few guidelines. Please silence your other communications devices, such as a cell or a desk phone, and that'll help us move forward without interruption. And after each agenda item, we'll make sure that everyone has an opportunity to comment as well. For those on Zoom, if you'd like to make a public comment on the Zoom screen, please click on the raised hand button. If you are using Zoom on your smartphone, tap your screen, look for the More option, and then the raise hand button on the screen. And for those calling in using the phone line only, you can dial *9 on your keypad to signal that you would like to comment. So may we have roll call, please?
Thank you. Good morning. District 1,
District 1 here.
District 2,
Here.
District 3,
Here.
District 4, District 5, Banning,
Present.
Beaumont,
Here.
Blythe,
Here.
Calamasa, Canyon Lake,
Here.
Cathedral City,
Here.
Coachella, Corona,
Present.
Desert Hot Springs,
Present.
Eastvale,
Present.
Hemet,
Here.
Indian Wells,
Present.
Indio,
Present.
Carupa Valley, La Quinta,
Present.
Lake Elsinore,
Here.
Menifee,
Menifee's here.
Moreno Valley, Marietta,
Here.
Norco,
Here.
Palm Desert,
Here.
Palm Springs,
Present.
Paris,
Present.
Rancho Mirage,
Here.
Riverside,
Riverside up and ready.
San Jacinto,
Present.
Temecula, Boldemar,
Here.
Caltrans District 8.
Present.
Thank you. We do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll go to the Pledge of Allegiance. Supervisor Washington, would you please lead us today in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I'd be happy to. Please stand and place your right hand over your heart as we pledge our allegiance to our nation. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty.
and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Okay, do we have any public comments on items that are not on the agenda?
I did not receive any written comments.
Okay, are there any additions or revisions?
I'm sorry, did I hear somebody speak up about a comment?
I think it was Okay, is there anyone who would like to make a public comment on an item that is not agendized? I think we're okay. I don't see anyone in the,
I'm not seeing any hands raised.
okay, great, thank you. Are there any additions and revisions?
No.
Okay, so let's move to the consent calendar, and that's 6A through G. Does anyone want to pull any item or make any comments on any items on that? No, I'll entertain a motion.
Approval. Norco seconds.
May we have roll call, please?
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5,
Yes.
Banning,
Yes.
Beaumont,
Yes.
Blythe,
Yes.
Calamasa, Canyon Lake,
Aye.
Cathedral City,
Yes.
Coachella, Corona,
Aye.
Desert Hot Springs,
Aye.
Eastvale,
Aye.
Hemet,
Yes.
Indian Wells,
Yes.
Indio,
Aye.
Parupa Valley,
Yes.
La Quinta,
Yes.
Lake Elsinore,
Aye.
Menifee,
Yes.
Marina Valley, Marietta,
Yes.
Norco,
Yes.
Palm Desert,
Yes.
Palm Springs,
Aye.
Paris,
Yes.
Rancho Mirage,
Yes.
Riverside,
Yes.
San Jacinto,
Yes.
Temecula, Wildemar.
Yes.
Thank you. The consent calendar passes.
There we go. Well, thank you. We'll go to item number 7, the Coachella Valley San Gorgonio Pass Rail Corridor Planning Study Update and Amendment to HDR Engineering Agreement. Mr. Peterson, please.
Yes, good morning, Chair Harnack and members of the commission. My name is Sheldon Peterson, the rail manager. I'm glad to be here to give you an update on the Coachella Valley San Gorgonio Pass Rail Corridor project. We've had an extremely busy summer that has caused some impacts to our budget and schedule, so we'll go over those today. But it'll be a good overview of the number of comments we received, which were overwhelming from a lot of respects. And so we'll kind of talk through how that works. On the next slide, we'll talk specifically about the business that we need to get done. We need to approve an agreement, amendment number 7 with HDR for $259,000 for the additional Coachella Valley work related to the public outreach effort for the admin draft and the additional time for reviews and response to comments for this project. So as we'll go through, is a significant amount of additional work, but it's well worth it because we got a lot of great comments. With that amendment, we'll also need to authorize the executive director pursuant to legal counsel review to finalize and execute this agreement. We'll need to approve the allocation of the additional funds of $259,000 of state transit assistance funds. When we do that, we need to adjust the fiscal year budget to account for that, and also amend the commission's short-range transit plan as it relates to this project. And as part of our next steps, we're looking for additional funding. As part of that effort, we need to adopt a resolution for Riverside County Transportation Commission approving the allocation of the State Transportation Improvement Program, Interregional Transportation Improvement Program funding to support the Coachella Valley Rail San Gorgonio Pass Corridor. So at the end of this, hopefully we could approve all those staff recommendations. Next slide. As a quick overview, this is our program study area that we've been talking about for a number of years. We're talking new rail service, intercity rail service from Los Angeles to Coachella. The initial plan is for 2 round trips with 6 potential stations east of Colton along this corridor. Next slide. As we work through the many phases of this project, in 2016, we completed the alternatives analysis that outlined that corridor I just shared with you. For the past number of years, we've been working on the program level Tier 1 EIS, EIR, and the service development plan, basically to outline the environmental impacts of the project and define what the project would look like, both on ridership and revenue. The next phases, which hopefully we'll get to starting next year, would be the conceptual engineering, project level Tier 2 environmental analysis, and then transition to the final design, construction, and hopefully operations going forward. Next slide. A little bit about the timeline when we last spoke was right before we released the public draft of the admin draft for the environmental document. We had an opportunity for public comments from May 21st to July 6th. We had 2 public hearings in June. As part of this process, we will identify a preferred alternative based on the analysis and public comments that we received. The way it's looking is option 1 would be the preferred with the stop in Coachella and having that as the endpoint in addition to a station in Indio. Going forward, the next steps include the preparation of the Tier 1 final EIR. And we're tracking to try to get this record of decision by mid-year 2022. Unfortunately, that did need to get kicked out. Part of that is because of these comments. It's taken us roughly 5 months alone just to process the comments and get responses back from the FRA, which we're still waiting for. In addition, we've been working hard on the service development plan. We've completed the draft. It's with FRA and Caltrans for review. An optimistic goal, well, that'll be ready for finalizing January of 2022. Next slide. So when we talk about our public outreach activities, we really feel we went above and beyond on this effort. We've had 11 stakeholder and agency briefings, multiple public hearings, over 3,000 people identified and looked at the page, and we received over 504 comments that we would need to respond to. Our notification efforts were extensive as well. A series of email notices, news releases, blog points, social media posts, and the like to really get the word out, and we feel we got a great response. Next slide. So real quick, here's a quick summary of the consultant trying to capture where we got some of these responses from. We had strong responses from Palm Springs, Indio, and Palm Desert, as well as other cities along the route. It's not the complete list, but it does show we are getting interest from our residents, and that is exciting that people want to come out and support this project. Next slide. So a little bit quick into the details as far as how many agencies or formal responses. We got 9 letters from specific agencies. Each of those letters had multiple comments. So there were 62 individual comments that we needed to respond to. The percentage overall support from that group was about 78% were supported. In addition to formal agencies, we had multiple organizations supported, 15 of those, generally highly supportive. And the big number here is the 280 individuals that took the time to respond with over 400 individual comments and over 82% in support. So as a whole, there's 304 comments we needed to respond to, or actually 304 letters that we actually received and 504 individual comments. And as you can imagine, that takes quite a bit of time. On the next slide is a quick, potentially hard to read list of the agencies and organizations that did respond. We did have a number of cities along the route, both in San Bernardino and Riverside County, sending letters, as well as EPA and California Highway Patrol. As far as organizations, we have fantastic support from the Coachella Valley, Visit Greater Palm Springs, Greater Palm Springs Visitor Convention Bureau. In addition, on that list, we have Union Pacific Railroad, we have Amtrak, National Railroad Passenger Corporation, as well as the San Pasqual Band of Mission Indians. So a lot of organizations came out to provide comments as well, which was very helpful. Next slide. So with all these comments, we took a strategy of developing specific master responses where we took, repeating questions, and we provided a detailed multiple page response for each of these specific questions. As you kind of look through the list, one of the main questions was where the station is going to be. There were a lot of questions on the conceptual nature of the build alternatives. So, if we finish this phase, can we go and start construction, which is not the case. There'll be future phases, so we have to clarify that. A lot of people in San Bernardino and Colton area had questions of the freight train volume assumptions and whether our project would induce additional freight activity. They also had concerns about noise and quiet zones through their communities. We had a number of comments on wildlife corridors as you kind of head out that direction. It's a vast expanse. A lot of people asked questions about train trip frequency, requesting either more trains, and train trip duration, requesting faster trains. So we addressed all those concerns. Then in addition, there's program funding. How much is it going to cost? Program timing. When are we going to see the trains? And transit connections. Who are going to connect? We're going to connect with LoSan, the Surfliner, future high-speed rail, all of Metrolink. Just trying to show that this network is integrated into the state system. We also had questions on locomotive technology. Currently, we're proposing the Tier 4 locomotives that are used both on Metrolink and or the Surfliner. But over time, we could get to a zero emissions locomotive once this project is ready, and we'd definitely be open to those alternatives. We also addressed a number of concerns over environmental justice to make sure that the rail project is appropriately designed for the communities it passes through. Next slide. So just a quick overview of what all this means. First off, we just want to let everybody know all the comments were appreciated, and a formal response will be included in the appendix of the final environmental document. That unique appendix will probably be over 300 pages, just to give you a feel of how extensive that work has been. The fundamental issue from a legal perspective, and I'll go ahead and read this, was that none of the comments received provided new information that warrants recirculation of the draft Tier 1 program EIS under CEQA, nor preparation of a supplemental under the NEPA process. So this basically means, although we had a lot of supportive comments, any of those that addressed environmental concerns, we were able to point them in the direction within the document where those concerns would be addressed and specified. And there were concerns as far as details that haven't yet been determined. So once we get into the Tier 2 conceptual engineering, there will be another round of environmental documents to address specific needs, where the tracks are, where the stations are, once we've defined all those alternatives. So overall, it's been a successful process. Hopefully, once we get the comments back from FRA, we'll be able to wrap it up and keep it moving forward. Next slide. So the next steps, this is kind of the exciting part that we're all working hard for, is how do we get funding for this Tier 2 effort? We've currently targeted the effort to include or require $60 million. We're putting together a funding plan from various sources to try to address that. The first on the block was the ITIP funds, where the state Caltrans is supporting us, putting in $10 million for this effort. There was a hearing this Monday where Chair Harnack and past Chair Benoit gave exceptional testimony in support of this project. So it was very helpful to get that out there. The commission at the last meeting approved STIP funding of $15 million to move this effort forward. Staff is working aggressively with Caltrans and the FRA to submit a federal Rctc grant, which will be due right after Thanksgiving, to seek an additional $20 million to support the project. There's also state rail assistance funds out there, roughly $6 million from our Indio platform project that we tried once before, and we're hoping to extend that amount up to $10 million, as well as use some additional local funds to round out the funding plan. So we're trying every opportunity possible, and we do appreciate all the support. We have been reaching out to get letters of support for this Rctc grant. Our team's done a great job. We have over 30 letters in-house already, with 8 from member cities. So if you haven't got your letter in, we'd really appreciate that. The goal is to get them in by the end of the week, November 12th. So if you have any opportunities, that would be really helpful. In addition, for this effort, we set up a new website link to try to target individual supporters. Response so far has been fantastic. We've had almost 450 responses just to that email link. We're going to do some online advertising over the next week or so. So we anticipate that number to grow significantly. So all this helps when we put our package together for all these grants to show that both the communities and the residents are fully supportive of this project. On the next slide. Just want to talk a little bit about the branding that has come up in past meetings. So staff is taking your direction, and we started some internal discussions on how to best approach branding as we go into the Tier 2 phase. We understand some of the challenges with the existing branding and logo, so we'll be open to opportunities to see if we can make that a little bit better going forward. On the screen, we have some of the other examples across the state, Capital Corridor, San Joaquin's. And I updated the slide to show that the LoSan logo from the 80s has been updated this past year to show their new logo there on the bottom. So this is kind of what's going on in the market right now, but we can definitely work to come up with something new and exciting for this project. And with the next slide, just want to open it up for any questions, and truly thank everyone for their support in this effort and your patience. We'll get this done hopefully by mid next year. So we can start on the next phases, but it has been a long haul, and we appreciate everyone's work to get us to this point. With that, I'll open it up.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments regarding this? And I see Mr. Speak. Yes, please.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say how happy I am to see this project, move forward and all the positive comments. I know that several folks in my city put in comments. I got a lot of questions about it. People excited about the fact that we are investing in the east part of the county. It shows some forward thinking, and I'm certainly going to be talking to my colleagues about submitting a support letter and supporting this project any way we can. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Commissioner Furman.
Good morning, and thank you for that great presentation. I just want to express my appreciation for all the hard work that's gone into this program. And we definitely support it in the city of Indio. As we begin to open up during this pandemic, our festivals are kicking off. We just had a busy weekend. We had a lot of visitors from the Inland Empire, Los Angeles County, and it would have been great to see some of those folks jump on the rail systems. So to see this come into fruition and we're moving along is great. And I also want to thank Mr. Shelton for making that distinction, saying, just mentioning that we're looking at a stop in Indio as well as Coachella. That's been some of the concerns and that folks reached out to me as we look at these options. And to have that reiterated, I just wanted to thank him for that. And to see that 42% of our population reached out to Rctc, that's great. And that's showing the engagement and the importance of transportation moving forward as we continue to grow in the Eastern Valley. So I just want to say thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the update and staff. And we're looking forward to this coming to the city of Indio. This is going to be great. We're growing and our festivals are coming back and we're looking for more festivals. And we want it to be easily accessible to other communities, as well as getting some of those folks off the streets. Just for instance, I'll be traveling to Los Angeles to Universal Studios tomorrow, and I would love to jump on the train to go out to LA, to enjoy the weekend. So just thanks staff and thank everyone for working on this project. This project has been working in the incubation period long before I've been on Rctc for 3 years. So it's great to see these processes moving along. So just thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Middleton, please.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you. And I second all of the comments from Commissioner Furman and Commissioner Speak. This is an incredibly important project for our region, and I want to express my appreciation on behalf of my city for the regional and countywide support that this project is receiving. It is really important that we work together to make this happen. The question I have is, with the infrastructure bill that has just been passed by Congress, there's $66 billion in that bill, last I heard, related to rail projects nationwide. What can we do to take advantage of what has been passed, federally, in order to be able to hopefully move a little more quickly with this project? We know that federal funding is always subject to the changes in one administration to another, and I think we need to do everything we can to lock in support for this project moving forward to construction and completion.
Okay, thank you. And I'd like to give the executive director a chance to answer the questions you've asked.
Sure. Thank you very much. Great question. So Congress has passed the infrastructure bill, and it has an unprecedented amount of investment in rail, more investment than we've seen in a very long time. So first off, we're happy that there's a bill. The president hasn't signed it yet, but it will be signed soon, and we're evaluating the bill for details. But to your point, we think this Christie program and the grant we're submitting at the end of the month will be very, very critical. Sheldon has done an amazing job of coordinating with Federal Railroad Administration staff We've already received some really good feedback on which category we should apply for, how to best position our application. So we are going to come right out the gate, trying to do everything we can to get funding for this project and to also build additional momentum and support both in Sacramento as well as in Washington, D.C. So we think this new bill is a huge opportunity. We're currently vetting it. We'll be back to the commission probably in December with more details about the approach that we think we should take, but we think this is a huge opportunity. And again, FRA is already giving us some really good input so that we can submit the best application possible so that we can be successful in getting that $20 million.
Great, thank you. Let's see, Supervisor Hewitt, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Obviously, this is a project that I think we can all get on board with, no pun intended, but it also goes ahead and unites the county. We have such a vast, large county. It takes that eastern part of the county and definitely unites it with not only the western side, but all into LA and the coast and everything. And I think it has the potential of doing something that almost no other rail projects have done, even in California. So, I'm excited. Let's get it to the next tier. Let's get those financing going, keep pushing this. And maybe while some of us are still alive, we'll be able to sit there and ride that thing and go out and enjoy both ways, on this. It really, it also alleviates that natural bottleneck that's in the past with the Interstate 10 and stuff and gives us an alternate route to ride without even having to steer your car. So I'm excited. Let's keep it going.
Great, thank you. Supervisor Perez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry, I'm not visible. I'm driving, but for all the reasons that my colleagues expressed, I'd like to make the motion to move this forward.
Okay, City will second. Thank you. I want to make just a couple quick comments because I think what everybody said is right. It's so nice to see everybody agreeing and thinking that this is an asset for our entire really Southern California region. And one of the things it does when we look at the housing starts that are in Banning and Beaumont, we can expect, unless we start shifting our thinking and our infrastructure priorities, we can expect to start adding on a lot of lanes to the 10 and to the 60s because we have no other way. We don't have another option. And this will provide that option and not only avoid spending the money on the infrastructure, but additionally, this is a sustainable option. This is not going to create the problems with carbon that we see so often with our cars idling, waiting to get it in or out of the valley. So this is exciting. I please encourage all the communities around you that you can to get those letters and get those comments in before November 12th. It's really important and it will make a difference. So that's what I have. So can we have a roll call vote, please?
Thank you. District 1?
District 1, yes.
District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
Banning?
Yes.
Beaumont?
Yes.
Blythe?
Yes.
Calamasa? Canyon Lake?
Aye.
Cathedral City?
Yes.
Coachella? Corona?
Aye.
Desert Hot Springs?
Aye.
Eastville?
Aye.
Hemet?
Yes.
Indian Wells?
Absolutely, yes.
Indio?
He read my mind. Absolutely, yes.
Parupa Valley?
A regular yes.
La Quinta?
No, an excited and affirmative yes.
Lake Elsinore?
Aye.
Menifee?
Yes.
Marina Valley? Marietta?
Yes.
Norco?
Yes.
Palm Desert?
Yes.
Palm Springs?
Yes.
Paris?
Yes.
Rancho Mirage?
Yes.
Riverside?
Most assuredly.
San Jacinto,
Yes.
Temecula, Wildemar.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you. The item does pass.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Okay,
Sheldon.
we will move to, remember, get everybody to put in their comments. Okay. Number 8, City of Corona funding request for construction of McKinley Street grade separation project. Jillian, please.
Good morning, Chair Harnick and Commissioners. Though for many of us, it feels like yesterday, it's actually been 4.5 years since the California State Legislature passed SB 1, the $5.2 billion a year transportation bill. Simultaneous to SB 1's approval was the passage of a historic bill that earmarked $427 million of the state's general funds for 5 projects in Riverside County. The 5 projects and their status are as follows. I-15 Limonite Interchange, completed by the County of Riverside. 1591 Express Lanes Connector, under construction by Rctc. Hamner Bridge Widening, under construction by the county. Parupa Road grade separation, under construction by the county. And McKinley Street grade separation, heading into construction by the City of Corona. The McKinley Street grade separation, which is the subject of this item, has long been on lists of priority grade separations in Riverside County. For many years, the Commission has prioritized grade separation projects for use of local, state, and federal discretionary funds. While more than a dozen priority grade separations that have been completed received federal and state funding commitments from the Commission, McKinley was never far enough along in project development to benefit in the same way. In 2007, McKinley did receive an allocation of $2 million in state local transportation funds. This funding was part of a larger $10 million allocation on behalf of MetroLink for the planning, environmental review, and preliminary engineering of select grade separation projects. At the time that SB 132 passed in 2017, the total project cost for each of the 5 projects was likely already out of date. SB 132 provides $84,450,000 to the McKinley Street grade separation project and requires that the funds be expended by June 2023. The City of Corona is the lead agency on the project. Since the passage of SB 132, Corona has been working to deliver the project. To give you a sense of the project location, let's look at the project location map. As seen on the screen, State Route 91 is at the top, which is north. The 4-lane street running north-south is McKinley Street. The lighter gray, almost white-colored section of McKinley is where the at-grade crossing is with the BNSF railroad tracks. You'll notice just north of the tracks is a county flood control facility, the Arlington Channel. And just north of that is Sampson Avenue, which provides access to the numerous retail and office buildings in this very developed area of Corona. The design and right-of-way phases of the McKinley Street grade separation project have been challenging, to say the least. You can take the map down now. Thank you. From the time Corona received the SB 132 windfall in April 2017 to today, it had to identify 8 additional fund sources to fully fund the project at a cost of $108.3 million. Total fund sources identified to date total $113.5 million. Corona was in the optimal position going into the construction phase with a $5 million surplus. However, earlier this year, Corona awarded a construction management contract for the project, which came in $4 million over the budgeted amount. Last month, Corona opened construction bids for the McKinley Street grade separation, which came in $11 million over the engineer's estimate. Corona continues making progress on the right-of-way needed to construct the project. As it nears mediation and settlement on one of the properties, financial information disclosed and appraisals conducted are resulting in a $2.4 million overage in the right-of-way budget. With costs rising, on November 1st, Corona submitted a letter to the Commission requesting assistance filling the $14.9 to $17.94 million funding gap on the project. There was a range due to an anomaly in the apparent low bidder's proposal that took time to address. Just yesterday, Corona was able to confirm to Commission staff the anomaly has been resolved, and Corona will be proceeding with a recommendation to the City Council that they award the construction contract to the low bidder. As such, the funding shortfall Corona faces is the lower number, $14.9 million. Corona has identified $5 million of local funds to bridge the funding gap and is seeking the Commission's help with the balance. Grade separating McKinley Street at the BNSF crossing will improve safety, mobility, and air quality, and complements the nearby Magnolia grade separation the County of Riverside completed a few years ago. Staff recommends approval of programming $9,890,000 of Measure A Regional Arterial funds to complete construction of the McKinley Street grade separation. Note that staff's recommendation this morning is for $3 million less than what is in the printed staff report due to the good news received yesterday that Corona will be recommending to its council awarding the construction contract to the lowest bidder. If the Commission approves this item, the Measure A Regional Arterial funds will be available to the city on a reimbursable basis and as the last fund source on the project, so that if there are project savings, they will be retained by Rctc. This morning, I'm joined by Savat Kamfu, Corona's Public Works Director, and we're available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. And I just, if you would be so kind, as it is presented in the agenda, it is 12.94 million. What is the requested amount?
The requested amount is $9,890,000.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, Commissioner Vinton, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jillian, you had mentioned some property issues here that are being worked through. Is that the removal of the Outback Steakhouse? Is that along Sample?
As I understand, the Outback actually has already been taken care of.
Okay.
But the property issue I referenced, I don't want to say too much because I don't, I'm not sure what I legally can say, but what I've been told by the city is that they're going toward mediation with a different property, and they've gotten into the process of being able to look at the financials of the property, and that's where the increase is coming in. Their books are better than I think they budgeted for.
Okay, and then at the end of Estelle Street, just for my edification, it appears like we're still up in the air, and to get down into the shopping center to the east, are we ramping down with retaining walls to protect those other two buildings?
I will defer to Savat to answer that question, please.
Okay.
Commissioner Vinton, I actually have Josh Cosper, who's actually been very active. He's with Mark Thomas with our program project management, and he can provide the details in that since he's been very heavily in the trenches in terms of dealing with right-of-way negotiations. Josh, you want to jump in?
Absolutely. Thanks a lot. Yep. Yes, we're protecting all the buildings in the shopping center. Approximately at that Estelle Street intersection, we're about 13 to 15 feet above existing grade as we ramp down. We did spend a lot of time making sure the right-of-way plan was solved and evaluated. The construction was done to minimize the impacts to those businesses. Going back to the previous question, since I got just a second here, we did actually reach a settlement. We're going to council next week on the property in question. It's at the northwest corner of Estelle and Sampson, or is it McKinley and Sampson? So that is a done deal. It just, I think without the project financials, it was impossible for us to identify what the loss of business goodwill was, and they weren't available until we started this mediation discussions about a month ago. So hopefully that answers your question.
And going back to your original question about Denny's and Outback, just wanted to let you know that we actually demolished those two buildings in the early summer, June, July. We did that under a separate contract, and it actually came under what was budgeted. We made sure that it was under a separate contract because we were having homeless issues and things like that over there. So that was taken care of. Just wanted to go back to your original question. Thank you.
Great. Thank you both very much. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Bergson, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I fully support this. I think it's poignant to remind the commission that the 5 projects that were mentioned, if those funds aren't used by the middle June of 2023, they disappear. They're not, we'll never get those again. So the original amount, I can't recall what you said it was, but the 80 million or whatever it was that was funded by the state, that money would disappear if this project isn't completed. It's just like the other 4 projects that were mentioned. So I think it's a hugely important thing to not let this opportunity escape us. Any grade separation is key to eliminating additional pollution and also expediting police and emergency service vehicles that aren't having to sit there and wait at railroad crossings. So I absolutely support this. I think it's a small funding gap comparative to the project at large, and you'll certainly get my support. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Speak.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say thank you to the commissioners who spoke up in favor of the project. I can tell you that this is a hugely important project, not only to the city, but it's not just from a public safety standpoint. We've had a number of deaths on that area, but it's a project that frankly will never get completed. It's a very complicated project, and I want to again say thank you to Rctc, the county, for assisting the city of Corona. I think it's been 18 months now where we did a value engineering exercise that actually saved us almost $20 million. So, we're pushing hard. We want to make sure we spend this money and we're good stewards of the state's money, and to show that the county is ready to do projects like this and keep them, at budget and complete it on time. So I want to say thanks ahead of this, bringing this to us, and hopefully we answered all your questions. I know that the team has been working really hard. We were really bummed to see the estimate come in a lot higher, but frankly, with construction costs and everything else kind of going up, we were kind of anticipating it, but this was a huge blow. So again, I want to say thank you to the commission for considering this. And with that, if there's no other questions, I'd like to move the item.
Okay.
Spiegel will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I just want to make sure that everyone who would like to speak on this issue has had the opportunity. Okay, seeing or hearing from no one, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, may I please clarify that the motion is for the new amount that Jillian noted, the $9,890,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. District 1?
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
Banning?
Yes.
Beaumont?
Yes.
Blythe?
Yes.
Calamasa? Canyon Lake? Canyon Lake? Cathedral City?
Yes.
Coachella? Corona?
Aye.
Desert Hot Springs?
Aye.
Eastvale?
Aye.
Hemet?
Yes.
Indian Wells?
Yes.
Indio?
Aye.
Harupa Valley?
Yes.
La Quinta?
Yes.
Lake Elsinore?
Aye.
Menifee?
Aye.
Marina Valley? Marietta?
Yes.
Norco?
Yes.
Palm Desert?
Yes.
Palm Springs,
Aye.
Paris, Paris, Rancho Mirage,
Yes.
Riverside,
Yes.
Paris, yes. Thank you. San Jacinto, Temecula,
Yes, I'm sorry.
Temecula, yes.
Wildemar.
Yes.
Thank you. That item passes.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to number 9, which is the AB 361 determination. Mr. Devon, please.
Yes, thank you. As you're aware, at the start of the pandemic, the governor issued executive orders suspending certain provisions of the Brown Act. Under those executive orders, boards were permitted to meet remotely, provided that certain procedural safeguards were followed. The legislature has now adopted AB 361, an urgency bill which became effective when the executive orders expired on October 1st. The new legislation permits agencies to continue to host remote meetings, but requires, among other things, that boards make certain findings to support the need for remote meetings. The attached resolution to the staff report implements AB 361 for Rctc. If adopted, the board would make the following 2 findings. 1, that a proclaimed state of emergency exists, and 2, that state or local officials have imposed or recommended measures to support social distancing. We believe that both of these findings can currently be met, and so staff recommends the adoption of the resolution. If approved, the findings will cover any committees meeting during the following 30 days period. In months where board meetings are canceled, committees will make the findings themselves. And finally, the findings expire after 30 days. So during subsequent board meetings, the board may be asked to re-adopt those findings. That's the staff report.
Okay, thank you. Well, there is a hand up already, and we certainly want to hear comments and questions and thoughts on this. Amy Kinn, did I say that right?
Hi, Amy Kinney.
Okay, thank you.
I understand the value of having remote meetings, and I also understand that there's some downfalls. That actually was me at the beginning of this meeting trying to make a public comment, and I was having, I guess, technical difficulties. I switched devices, and so now I'm able to comment. It can be kind of frustrating that, and it actually feels, as a member of the public, it actually is a little more intimidating to be on a Zoom meeting than being in person. And I had wanted to come. If there was an in-person meeting today, I would have asked about the notice of intent to circulate that petition, which seems to be a roundabout way of getting a sales tax increase for Rctc through the Riverside County Goods Roads Traffic Relief Ordinance that's going around, that has been was brought to our attention by Commissioner Jeffries a while back when it was posted as a public notice. And so I did not have an opportunity to ask for more information about that because of my own shortcoming, I guess, when it comes to technology. But I just wanted to, as a member of the public, I liked attending meetings in person. So that was my only comment.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Kinney. Commissioner Hoffman, please.
Thank you. You know, we just went through this with RTA and our meetings, and I'm glad that this is coming out. What we did on that one, and definitely I agree with Ms. Kinney, is that the public needs to be heard. Zoom is not the way to do it. I'll be honest with you. I think what we did at RTA makes sense. all the subcommittees and that stayed on the virtual one, just because it's been easy for us. And what would the main function or the main body went to in person. And if that was something we could do, I would be for that. I missed not seeing y'all because it's important that we have the interaction. I'm tired of this Hollywood Square stuff, just like the rest of it. It does make it very convenient because right after this, I can go back to work. But again, that's not the point where we're on these commissions. We're there to listen. And I believe the public and our constituents are suffering by not having in-person meeting. Our city council, yes, we went all the way through. We had in-person council meetings. And we did what we could during this pandemic to ensure their safety and the people's safety coming in and restricting the amount of people coming into the rooms. But at the same time, we let the people be heard. And I think it's important that if nothing else, that for the main body of this commission, that we have in-person meetings. Just for the sake of once a month letting the public come. And that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Reed.
Number one, I would hope that the executive director could have an opportunity to respond to that lady's question about the initiative, because I think it is important that we clear the air as to what the commission's role is. So if the chair agrees, if the executive director could answer that part of her question, it would be appreciated. The matter before us is simply to allow us to meet by Zoom. I don't believe it requires us to meet by Zoom. It would be up to presumably the executive committee to decide whether we're going to be in person or not. And then finally, as somebody who has to travel a rather long distance to get to the meetings, I mean, I knew that when I signed up for this, so it's not like it's something new to me, but this is infinitely easier. And Mr. Hoffman can go back to work. But if we were in person, it would take us another 2 hours, 2.5 hours, perhaps, to get back to our homes. And with Joey out in Blythe, it probably takes him most all of the day. So it's not the same as a city council where you're, a half mile or a mile from City Hall. We're hundreds of miles in round trip. So maybe the solution is to have a public meeting where the public can go into the supervisors' chambers and talk to us on the screen where we don't have to be there, but if they want to come in and use the county's facilities to Zoom, I think that may be a solution. But the issue before us today is not whether to Zoom or not Zoom. It's to give us authority to Zoom if we decide to Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thanks for taking a look at it with a solution. Commissioner Condor.
Thank you, Chair. Now, I appreciate Commissioner Hoffman's comments. I agree with him. This is public service, not public convenience. For a state of emergency to occur, there's got to be an overwhelming of basic services, which has not occurred for well over a year. We need to get back person to person. Now, if we want to have the opportunity to have a hybrid meeting where some choose to Zoom, we can discuss that, but we need to be in person. We need to have eye-to-eye contact with the people that we represent. And I'm all for getting back into the supervisors' chambers. Let's get together. And if a couple here and there decide they can't make it, well, then let's have a hybrid type. But we got to have people in the chambers. We got to meet them eye to eye. We have to have that. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Supervisor Jeffries, please.
Similar comments to Commissioner Condor, supporting a hybrid approach for those colleagues who are having to travel great distances. You look at today's agenda, with a few exceptions, it's pretty light. To expect somebody to drive several hours for a very light agenda, probably not the most reasonable thing. But when we do have meaty substantive issues that are going to have significant debate in the future, it's best if we can go face to face with the public so we can fully appreciate the discussions that are occurring. So I support a hybrid approach for this commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Washington?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My comments will be similar to Commissioner Reed's. I agree and I understand, and I find it interesting that the folks that live more closer in proximity to where this meeting would occur if it was in person want the in person, and perhaps those of us who live farther away are happy with the opportunity to do this virtually. Each and every one of us serves on this commission representing another agency, whether it be a city or the county. And in that role, I bet all of us do our darndest to be in person at our meetings, hearing what our constituents have to say. And so I'm not sure that I'm missing out on anything by hearing them here virtually, because I hear them plenty at Board of Supervisors meetings. And I stay in touch with my city council folks as well when they have concerns. So I'm not sure that I'm feeling like I'm missing out on much, unless this is just a philosophical issue where some want to maybe make a case for we should just be doing meetings in person.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Gregory, please.
Thank you so much. So I don't disagree with the discussion, any of the discussion that's gone on here today, and I certainly think there's value to being able to see participants and commenters face to face. But I also don't want to lose the fact that not everyone either feels comfortable or is it safe for them to get into crowded spaces yet. So if you situate the meetings where you have to come and speak face to face to be able to be,
Go ahead.
to
Go ahead.
comment,
Check your email.
or maybe even people on the commission themselves may have some qualms about that. So if you go so that everything has to be in person, you are also leaving out a segment of the population that may want to participate. So while it's for me, if you have to weigh it and say, well, I have to have one or the other, it would seem like we would want to be able to at least enable the ability to have Zoom meetings, because at least everyone can participate at those, and perhaps they can work out their technology issues before the meeting. But if a hybrid is possible, I don't know if it is possible under this AB 361 or some other arrangement, of course, that would also take care of both concerns. So I just want to make sure we don't lose back. It's not just for convenience of going to the meeting. There are actually people that it is not safe for them yet to go to the meetings. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. I see Commissioner Wild. Did you want to make a comment?
I did, thank you. And I concur with my colleague from Indian Wells, Dana Reed. A perfect example is today, not is it just a convenience. For example, I have another meeting scheduled for approximately 11:30. I would not be able to attend that meeting, which is fairly important. It involves planning for our city. I would have to miss one or the other if I drove to Riverside today. This enables me to attend both meetings, and I don't think there's a lot lost as a result of the remote connection. So I very much endorse the idea of having a hybrid existence or the remote availability. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Zimmerman, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to ask why it's a resolution that is only 30 days at a time. I mean, is there something we can do to extend the ability for a little bit longer with one decision? Or are we going to have to revisit this each meeting?
Unfortunately, the way that AB 361 is written, the findings only last for 60 days, and every 30 days. And every 30 days, the findings need to be remade. So there's no way to extend the term of the resolution. The findings can only last for 30 days.
So it sounds like we'll be revisiting this each meeting.
That is apparently the legislature's desire at this time.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other? Yes, there are. Commissioner Vargas, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want clarification from council. We all belong to a variety of committees, including our own councils that we sit on, and I seem to be getting a different variation of this bill and different opinions. And one of them, which I find very odd, is that they're telling us if we do create this resolution, then we have to all go to virtual meetings. It's not an option of a hybrid. And that's very unique. That's only one out of many boards that I sit on. You know, we as a city of Paris, we went ahead and facilitated the resolution only in the fact that if someone is out sick or cannot make it in physically, they can Zoom in, but we still manage the meeting from our dais. So if council from this board can chip in on that, I'd love to hear what he has to say.
Sure. I can imagine it's very frustrating for commissioners and public officials in general to hear different opinions on this bill. All I can say is it's very poorly drafted. The interpretation that you're describing, requiring either one or the other, is not an interpretation that I agree with. If you look at the legislative findings surrounding the bill, it supports the idea that the meetings can be either virtual or in person or a hybrid. So it's my interpretation that a hybrid meeting is permitted under AB 361.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Hewitt, please.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Vargas. You actually hit on the same exact issue that I was going to. And, you know, look all the things that have been brought up here, hybrid is a win-win for everyone. I think that, you know, the public wants to come in here, they want to present, you know, their concerns or whatever to a group that, you know, there's enough people that live pretty close to the downtown Riverside area that don't have a problem getting here. It's just a walk down, you know, downstairs for me. So it's extremely easy most of the time. But I do see where, you know, it really, really feeds into a lot of people that are farther out or just maybe don't feel that well that day and still want to, you know, partake in it. I would like to see, you know, with our council here, I was told by county council, and I think Mayor Vargas might even be bringing up that same, I missed out on a LAFCO meeting because of this very same issue. So I would like to, I don't think it's going to be really settled until somebody tests it, you know, with a lawsuit or something, because remember, if it is defined as having to be all of one or all the other, then everything that we discuss could be thrown out in that meeting. So I'd like to get a little bit more, you know, from council here, Steve, and find out where we stay, at least have a little bit stronger. But I think the hybrid is a win-win all the way around if we can do that.
Thank you for that comment. And I'm going to interject really quickly. I know that I have been in meetings that are hybrid. We did at SCAG. But here I have a question for probably the clerk and Mr. DeBon. Can we have closed session in a hybrid fashion?
Oh, closed session in hybrid? Yes.
Do we have the capability is really the question.
Oh.
Are we allowed?
When we would be hybrid, we would be in the boardroom, the supervisor's boardroom downstairs. So we would be working with their IT staff in order to make that happen.
And Madam Chair, we have done that as a board of supervisors where we've had closed session where not all members are actually in person.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
Thank
You're
you.
muted.
Yeah, I'm unmuted now. Thanks. I just wanted to I don't want to pile on all of the Coachella Valley people saying, hybrid is the best way to go. But I will tell you that I had the unfortunate opportunity to be able to participate in council meeting from a remote location 2 weeks ago because I had a family emergency across the country. And it was really nice to be able to do what the people elected me to be able to do from a remote location without having to go through all of the parameters and constraints that were in yesteryear with having to post where I was and have the ability to have people show up in Washington, D.C. at my doorstep, I guess. I think the hybrid has given us an opportunity to move forward into a future where we can do things more efficiently. And I think it does allow us to be able to, as our commissioner from Rancho Mirage indicated, be able to participate in a multiple of meetings in a clear, concise way and serve our public better. So I wholeheartedly support this. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Bergson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I as well agree with the hybrid scenario, but I want to ask, technologically speaking, I've been involved in some of these remote meetings where they're trying to do hybrid. The problem is, at least the problem I've experienced thus far is when you're doing both in-person and Zoom, there is a delay. I mean, we at our city council meetings for the first time last week had a Zoom portion of our meeting, and the people that were on the Zoom were about 30 seconds delayed. So every comment had to be waited for to let somebody respond or for them to hear what we were saying so that they could have that ability to respond. So the period of time was extremely lengthy just to get a normal conversation out. And I want to find out if the gurus in our tech world through Rctc or the county supervisors, however this works, are we going to be able to have a legitimate hybrid meeting that won't cause all these additional delays? So that would be the one thing that I want to make sure that we can have a smooth meeting that's a hybrid meeting without the constant back and forth with these delays. So that would be my one and only comment.
Okay, thank you. And Commissioner Conder.
Yeah, just real quick, Chair. Our city council has been doing the hybrids now for quite a while. It does work. Mr. Bergson is correct that there sometimes is a slight delay, but that normally is only maybe 10 to 12 seconds. Both Supervisors Jeffrey, Hewitt, and Commissioner Vargas and I sit on the Joint Powers Authority, and we do have virtual closed sessions. We're simply moved into another room, I guess they call it, and it has worked well. And I know the techies over at the County Board of Supervisors can take care of that, but it's easy to do, and whether it's acquired at this time or not, I'd make a motion that we move forward on the 361 with the hybrid as long as we can.
I second that motion.
I'm sorry, who is the second?
Tenecento.
Okay. Are there? Oh, I see Supervisor Washington and the Executive Director both have their hands up, please.
Madam Chair, I was just going to point out that out of the last 3 or 4 meetings, Supervisor Karen Spiegel has conducted our meetings with one of our colleagues, and she might have an opinion about whether there was a delay involved or if it interfered with the smooth running of the meeting. It didn't seem that she was having any problems with one of our colleagues being away from the dais. And then I was going to make a motion. I hear that the motion is towards a hybrid. I support a hybrid, but I am a little concerned if what we actually need is a motion to adopt the resolution 21-020 and then provide direction on whether to continue holding virtual meetings is what's on the agenda. So I just want some clarity on that second part. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. DeBon, can you provide the clarity requested, please?
as I understood the resolution or the motion, it was to approve the resolution allowing for the hybrid meeting, and then providing direction. I'm sorry, allowing virtual meetings, and then number 2, providing direction to staff to implement that for hybrid meetings for the commission meeting. That's as I understood it, but if that's correct, then maybe we can use that as the motion.
That is what I was intending, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Mayer.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, we appreciate the conversation and direction, and we certainly can make hybrid meetings work. We did one in June and it worked just fine. The only area where we'll have to work with county IT is on the closed sessions, and some of you may have to move to a different room, but I'm confident we can make that work. I would like in that direction, if you could clarify for us, I did hear a mention of having the committees stay on Zoom and only have the board meeting as a hybrid. So if we could receive direction, clarity with respect to committees, that would be helpful. And then one final comment, I appreciate that you would continue to pass that resolution, and we will bring it to the agenda every meeting. It is a good backstop for us in that if for some reason we had to quickly convert to an all virtual meeting, we would have the authority to do that. And so that is another, good reason to make sure that we adopt this resolution every month to make sure we can be nimble if we have to. So anyway, appreciate that. And then just a clarification on the committees would be helpful.
Okay, and I have, along with the clarification on the committees from the maker of the motion, I also have a question. Would it be possible to put this item on the consent calendar so that we can just move along? And if someone needs to pull it because there is a need or someone feels there's a need for discussion, we have that option.
Yes, Madam Chair. It's my recommendation that for future meetings, the item be placed on the consent calendar so that finding is made at the beginning of the meeting.
Great, thank you. Okay, and I see Commissioner Vargas has his hand up.
Yes, I apologize, Madam Chair, but I think personally speaking, I think each committee should make their own resolution if they want to go follow this AB. We shouldn't be dictating for all the different committees. I don't know what the council feels behind that.
How does AB, though we do know it's poorly drafted and worded, does AB 361 speak to that issue in any way?
Yes, it's our interpretation that it's the governing body of the organization that makes the actual legal finding under AB 361. At least that is the preferred way to do it. So, for instance, the commission would make, if the commission adopts AB 361 today, that would cover any committee meetings at the end of November. If and you would not need to make the AB 361 finding during those committee meetings. Now, whether or not you want to have an individual, policy discussion about whether or not you want to continue to hold the meetings virtually or not at the committee meetings, that's certainly fine to do.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Reed, please.
Very quickly, I just want to make sure that ladies, a question regarding the initiative is answered before she hangs up. That's all. I just want to remind the chair that there is an issue floating around here.
Since this is not the agenda item, would it be appropriate with, and this is a question for Mr. DeBon and for our executive director, would it be appropriate for our executive director to address that in her, in the executive director report?
That would be my recommendation because it's not on the agenda. It seems like something that is most appropriate under the executive director report.
Great, thank you. So Ms. Kinney, there will be some clarification for you soon, it looks like. Okay, Commissioner Middleton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to address the question that the executive director raised regarding committees and ask the maker of the motion if he's willing to accept that committees continue to be held virtually unless the committee decides there is a specific need for them to have a specific meeting in person.
I will accept that friendly amendment.
Okay. And I think, and please confirm, Mr. DeBon, this is really keeping our options open is what we're doing right now.
Yes, but by adopting the resolution, you're keeping your option open.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a motion and we have another comment. Supervisor Spiegel, please.
I am so sorry. I have construction going on in my house. That's why I was home today. But my question is, what was that last piece that was just said? What are the committees being separate and the committees make the decision, or is this motion for the entire organization?
The findings by the resolution for the I'm sorry, the adoption of the resolution will be for the entire organization, as I understand it. I think the friendly amendment, and I'm sorry if I'm speaking out of turn, but I think that the friendly amendment was to say the committees will continue to meet virtually unless the committee makes an affirmative finding that doesn't want to meet virtually for a particular meeting.
I believe that was Commissioner Middleton's plan. Is that correct?
That is correct. And the point I was trying to make is there could turn out to be a situation where a committee thinks it's really important for them to meet on a specific issue in person. And I don't want them to have to come back to the full body in order to get permission to have that meeting in person.
And so my question would be, since it is the governing body of the organization that is making the motion, and the motion simply says we're keeping our options open, is the friendly amendment necessary?
If you're asking legally, I don't think it's perhaps necessary, but I think it provides direction to staff should that issue come up as to how to address it.
Okay, great, thank you.
And can I also add, I think, as Steve said, it's not a legal issue. It's that staff needs direction on whether or not we're holding meetings virtually or hybrid. But I also would say too, that it's important that the public knows what we're, if the public should be able to know whether we're holding meetings virtually or hybrid. And so I would very much appreciate it.
Okay, great, thank you. So we will vote on, unless Supervisor Spiegel, you still have your hand up. Did you conclude your comments and questions?
Well, Ted and I were at that RTA meeting and several other people were, and the discussion came around, and I'm just gonna throw it out there, people may boo me. This resolution is because of the pandemic. And if we keep talking about convenience, we're violating what this whole purpose is. So we have to be careful, and particularly in this conversation, because that was the purpose of it, is exactly for, like Ann, or maybe it was Lisa that said, what if we suddenly had a breakout or whatever, or we couldn't get enough for a quorum, then we could meet virtually. So that's the option. But I don't think we should be talking convenience. We should be talking about the pandemic, and that's the reason we have this option. Yes, we all benefit from it. I'm home, as I said today. I took advantage of it. I've been in the office every day, but needed to be home today. So I get that, but I just think we need to make sure we're focusing on what the purpose of this is, and that is for the sake of I'm trying to think who it was. Mr. Gregory may have said it about people still may be uncomfortable coming back. And that is what this is about. And there are people who are, and we don't need to identify who we are, but that's the purpose of this. And I just want to make sure that that's the focus of this conversation and the direction.
I really appreciate that comment. I want everybody to remember that somebody may have an underlying condition. Somebody might have someone at home who has an underlying condition. It's personal business. It's certainly not something we're going to say here, but this can certainly direct our vote in that way. So I do, and then we have Commissioner Hoffman. And you're muted.
I apologize. Can we get the motion reread completely since we bounced around before we actually vote?
Good idea.
That's all I'm asking.
I think, wasn't Commissioner Condor the maker of the motion?
Yes, I was. I'm not sure Mr. DeBon has a better reading of it than I, but the motion would be again to give us the option to have the hybrid meeting, that we would meet in person. However, if there is somebody that cannot, for whatever reason, make it, that we have the authorization, the option of the hybrid meeting. And then I guess from what Mr. DeBon said, it is the organization that would then determine about the different committees.
Yeah. So if I could just clean up just a little bit. The motion was first to adopt the resolution 21020, and then second to direct staff to provide for hybrid meetings for the commission meetings, and for the committee meetings to continue with virtual meetings, subject to decision by the committee that an in-person meeting was needed on a particular basis.
Right. Is everyone clear on that?
Got that.
Okay, then let's have that roll call vote.
District 1?
District 1, yes.
District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4? District 5?
I think so. We're good on this, yeah.
Banning?
Yes.
Beaumont?
Yes.
Blythe?
Yes.
Calamasa?
Yes.
Canyon Lake? Cathedral City?
Yes.
Corona?
Aye.
Desert Hot Springs?
Aye.
Eastville?
Aye.
Hemet?
Yes.
Indian Wells?
Yes, until we can take the train to Riverside.
Indio?
Yes, and happy birthday, Marines, and happy Veterans Day.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said yes, and happy birthday to our Marines, and happy Veterans Day to everyone.
Thank you. Carupa Valley?
Yes.
La Quinta?
Yes.
Lake Elsinore?
Aye.
Menifee?
Yes.
Marietta?
Yes.
Norco?
Yes.
Palm Desert?
Yes.
Palm Springs?
Aye.
Paris?
Yes.
Rancho Mirage?
Yes.
Riverside?
Aye.
San Jacinto?
Yes.
Temecula?
Yes.
Wildemar?
Aye.
Thank you. That item passes.
Thank you so much. And on Commissioner Furman's comment, you can thank a veteran for us being able to have that conversation. Okay, there are no items pulled from the consent calendar, so we'll go right to number 11, which is our executive director report.
Thank you very much. And commissioners, I will look forward to seeing some of you in person in December, and we will be ready for that hybrid meeting. Also on that same day, the California Transportation Commission will be holding a hybrid meeting in the board chambers as well. So they will, some of the CTC commissioners will be here in person. that Wednesday and Thursday. It doesn't sound like they will have all of the CTC commissioners, but some of them will be here. Some of the staff will be here. And I do expect they will probably still want to have the public and other agencies participate remotely, but they are planning a hybrid meeting for December. I think they're coming down to meet with county IT staff this Monday to coordinate. So it looks like the CTC is considering their first hybrid in-person meeting since early 2020, and it will be held here in Riverside. Caltrans Director Tokes Omashakin has accepted an invitation from RCTC to join us at our December commission meeting. I do not know if he'll be here in person or virtually, but start thinking about all of the questions that you've always wanted to ask Caltrans Director Omashakin, and we will certainly have that opportunity to do so in December.
May I ask you what time are the CTC meetings?
The CTC meeting will not start until probably 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
And they have not published their agenda yet, but that's their typical start time. We will also be making RCTC conference rooms available to those CTC commissioners who are here to conduct their other business outside of their meeting. So they'll come into the boardroom immediately after we're there on that day. Okay. So that is exciting that they're coming to Riverside for their first attempt at a hybrid meeting, and I'm sure it will go very, very well. So to the question that was raised by Ms. Kinney, in October, I sent an email to all of the board members that a notice had been published in the Press Enterprise, and it was a notice of intent to circulate a petition to gather signatures for a citizens initiative related to roads and other transportation related investments. It is a citizens and stakeholders group conducting that effort. We did not know in advance it was going to be published at that time. I do not know if they're currently gathering signatures. What I do know is that this is not an RCTC effort. This is not a RCTC effort that this board will be weighing in on. There are no decisions for this board to make. It is a pure private effort. There are no RCTC resources being used related to this initiative, and staff are not involved. So that is the extent of my knowledge of the current status of that initiative. Whether or not they gather the signatures, whether or not it proceeds as it evolves and we have additional information, we can share it with the commission as it becomes available, but that's the extent of the information I have at this time.
Okay, thank you. Are there any, we'll move to commissioner comments. Anybody have any brief comments for the entire commission? Okay, I see no. Yes, I do. Commissioner Middleton, please. You're muted.
Thank you. I want to remind everyone that in Palm Springs tomorrow afternoon at 3:30, we will have our annual Veterans Day Parade. It is a great celebration of the men and women who have worn our country's uniform, and I invite everyone to be present for it.
Thank you. Commissioner Vinton.
Thank you, Myriad, as well as our Veterans Day Parade tomorrow. And we have our Field of Honor with 2021 American flags in Town Square Park for the entirety of this week. So it's a great thing to go see, and I encourage you all if you can. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Condor.
If any of the commissioners or their constituents live close enough, every year at the National Cemetery, we put up flags for every hero, a flag on every grave. And this Saturday will be the takedown. We put them up over the weekend. We have 250,000 plus flags to be removed, repackaged up, and put away into Memorial Day. So if you're free and in the area, please come down to Riverside National Cemetery, 8 o'clock on this Saturday morning. Help us take the flags down, get them put away until we can do it again for them in Memorial Day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Hoffman.
Yeah, and I want to say happy birthday to all my Marine Corps friends and to all my fellow veterans out there. Happy memory of Veterans Day for those of you on the western end and even on the eastern end of the county. We have a 10 a.m. tomorrow, a Veterans Day ceremony, and we're going to enshrine on our Lest We Forget wall the young Marine, Kareem Akui, who was killed in Kabul. He will be honored on our wall. So thank you. It's at 10 a.m. tomorrow at Ingles Park. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Any other comments? You know, at one point, Veterans Day or Armistice Day, as it was at that time, was a day to celebrate because we were celebrating the end. That was the war to end all wars. So we no longer celebrate it because it wasn't the war that ended all war, but it certainly is a day to say thank you and remember. So please make sure we do that. And if there is no unfinished business, then we will see you one way or another at our next meeting. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving in the